She said, "This is my body and I'll get tattoos if I want to." After getting a tattoo of another man's name, I replied, "I support your bodily autonomy." I then exercised my own autonomy by autonomously moving all my belongings out of our shared apartment while she was at the tattoo parlor. I'm an architect. I design buildings. I spend my days thinking about foundations, stress loads, and how people move through the spaces they inhabit. My life is about structure and purpose. Clara was the opposite. She was a force of chaotic energy. She was a freelance social media manager, a job title that seemed to involve a lot of brunch and very little management. When we first met, I was drawn to her spontaneity. She was the beautiful, unpredictable variable in my well-planned life. The problems started subtly. They started with language. About a year ago, Clara discovered the pop psychology industrial complex. Suddenly, our relationship wasn't a relationship anymore. It was a container for our personal journeys. Disagreements weren't arguments. They were failures to hold space for each other. Selfishness wasn't selfishness. It was practicing radical self-love. Her favorite new term was bodily autonomy. At the center of this new vocabulary was Leo. Leo was a guy from her yoga studio. According to Clara, he was her platonic soulmate, a man whose energy was perfectly aligned with hers. To me, a man who lives in a world of blueprints and concrete, he was just a guy with a man bun and a trust fund, who was way too comfortable putting his hands on my girlfriend's back to correct her form. Leo became a constant presence in our life. He was a ghost at our dinner table, the subject of endless stories. Leo said the most profound thing today. She'd begin before recounting some pseudo-philosophical nonsense. The boundaries between their friendship and our partnership began to dissolve. One night, I planned a special anniversary dinner. I spent hours cooking. She showed up 30 minutes late, with Leo in tow. "Leo was having a really tough day, and I knew you wouldn't mind," she'd said as if I were a doorman at a hotel and not her partner. I minded. I minded a lot. But I didn't say anything. I just cut another piece of steak and endured an evening of them talking about chakras. This brings me to the tattoos. Clara loved tattoos. I liked them too. I have a couple myself. They were a part of her journey of self-expression. The argument started when she announced she was getting a new big piece on her ribs. I was all for it. I thought it was cool. My only question was, "What are you getting?" She became instantly defensive. "It's personal," she said. "It's part of my journey. You don't need to know every detail." "I'm just curious," I said. "It's going to be on your body forever. I'm interested in your life." This was apparently the wrong thing to say. "That's the problem, Alex," she'd snapped. "You see my body as something you have a say in. This is my body, and I'll get tattoos if I want to. It's my bodily autonomy." She threw that phrase around like a weapon, using it to shut down any conversation she didn't like. It was a shield for her secrecy. I let it go. It was her body, she was right. But a deep sense of unease settled in my gut. A week later she came home from the tattoo parlor. She was ecstatic, high on the adrenaline and the pain. She lifted her shirt to show me. It was an intricate, beautifully done piece of artwork. A sprawling vine of ivy, wrapping around her side. It was genuinely stunning. And then I saw it, woven so cleverly into the leaves of the ivy that you might miss it if you weren't looking for it. A name. Leo. I just stared at it. The room went very, very quiet. All I could hear was the buzzing of the refrigerator. She had tattooed another man's name on her body. A permanent tribute to her platonic soulmate, placed in a spot on her ribs that I was one of the few people in the world privileged enough to see. "It's about our friendship," she said quickly, seeing the look on my face. "Our connection is a huge part of my personal growth. This tattoo honors that journey." I looked from the tattoo back to her face. She was defiant, daring me to challenge her. She was already armed with her favorite word. I could see it on her lips, so I didn't give her the fight she was expecting. I just nodded slowly. My voice was quiet, almost a whisper. "I support your bodily autonomy," I said. The relief on her face was immediate. She thought she had won. She thought her pop psychology buzzwords had successfully defended the indefensible. She didn't understand that I wasn't just agreeing with her. I was taking her at her word. She had made a permanent, autonomous decision about her body. In that moment, I decided to make an autonomous decision about mine. About my space. About my life. The negative space. She celebrated her victory by announcing she was going out for a long, all-day session the following Saturday to get the shading on her new masterpiece finished. It was the perfect window of opportunity. I didn't have a grand, premeditated plan. The idea just arrived, fully formed, a logical conclusion to a problem I couldn't solve with words. If her body was no longer a shared space, then my home couldn't be one either. That Saturday morning, she left for the tattoo parlor, happy and oblivious. The moment her car was out of the driveway, I made 2 phone calls. The first was to my best friend, Sam. The second was to another old buddy, Rob. I need a favor, I said to both of them. A big one. The kind you can only ask for once every 10 years. And I need you to not ask too many questions until we're done. To their credit, they were at my apartment an hour later. They walked in and saw the look on my face. Sam, who has known me since kindergarten, just said, "Who do we have to bury?" "No one," I said. "We just have to move a body." My body. All my stuff. Today. Now. For the next 8 hours, we executed the most efficient, soul-crushing, and liberating move of my life. I became an architect of my own exodus. We worked with a kind of grim, silent purpose. I went through each room, making snap decisions that felt like amputations. The couch we bought together. I paid for 70% of it. It was mine. The beautiful oak dining table I'd found at a flea market and spent a month restoring. Mine. The ridiculous, overpriced espresso machine she had insisted on buying. Hers. The TV was mine. The sound system was mine. The bed, the one we had shared for 4 years. I left it. Some things are too haunted to be worth taking. My friends were incredible. They didn't let me linger. They didn't let me get lost in memories. When I picked up a framed photo of Clara and me from a vacation, Sam just gently took it from my hand, put it in a box labeled Misk, and said, "We can deal with that later, man. Let's keep moving." We were a blur of motion. We loaded everything into Sam's pickup truck and my car. We made 3 trips to a storage unit I had rented that morning. The apartment got emptier with each trip. The negative space grew larger. First, the living room was hollowed out. Then the office. Then my side of the bedroom. The last things to go were my books and the guitars from my workshop. By 6 p.m., it was done. I stood in the middle of the living room. It was an echo chamber. Her belongings, her armchair, her yoga mats, her collection of crystals, her ridiculously large wardrobe were all still there, but they looked small and pathetic, like the abandoned props on a movie set after the main actors have gone home. The space around them was vast and empty. I did a final sweep. I cleaned the counters in the kitchen. I took out the trash. I walked into the bedroom and saw the indentation on her side of the bed where she slept. For a moment, the sadness hit me. A wave of what I was losing. But then I thought of the name inked on her skin, a permanent brand of another man, and the sadness evaporated, replaced by a cold, hard sense of rightness. I walked to the front door. I took my key off my keychain. I placed it on the now empty kitchen counter. I didn't write a long, angry letter. I didn't write a sad, heartbroken one. I just took a sticky note from the drawer and wrote 5 words on it. Practicing my autonomy. Enjoy the space. Then I walked out and didn't look back. I was at Sam's place, drinking the coldest beer I've ever tasted, when my phone started its death rattle. It was 9:30 p.m. The tattoo session was over. The first text was just, "Then, Alex, where are you? Where is everything? Then, this isn't funny. Our couch is gone. The TV is gone. What is happening?" A picture of my key and the sticky note came through. "Then, you moved out. You moved out without even talking to me." The calls started. I let them go to voicemail, but I listened to the first one on speakerphone. It was a torrent of rage, confusion, and accusations. "You're a coward. You're a monster. How could you do this?" I waited until the next morning. I let her stew in the empty apartment all night. Then, I sent her one final text message. "Clara, you made a permanent and autonomous decision to put another man's name on your body. I made a permanent and autonomous decision to remove my body and all my belongings from our shared space. You said you wanted me to respect your bodily autonomy. I hope you can respect mine. The apartment lease is in both our names. You have two options. Find a roommate to cover my half of the rent or break the lease and pay the penalty. That is your autonomous decision to make. Goodbye. The fallout was, from what I heard, biblical. Her friends, the ones who had championed her journey, were suddenly nowhere to be found when it came to offering her a place to stay. Leo, the platonic soulmate, was apparently horrified that his name had been dragged into such a messy public drama. His transcendent energy apparently didn't extend to helping her find a new apartment. She couldn't afford the rent on her own. She had to break the lease, which cost her a fortune. The mutual friends we had were forced to choose a side, and after I calmly explained to a few of them that she had gotten another man's name tattooed on her ribs, the choice was pretty easy for most. It's been 6 months. I have my own place now. It's smaller, but it's all mine. There is no negative space. Every object, every corner, is filled with my own life. I heard through the grapevine that Clara is living with her parents, and the tattoo is a source of constant, awkward questions at family gatherings. She wanted me to understand that her body was hers to do with as she pleased. And I did. I finally understood that my life was mine to do with as I pleased too. She made a permanent mark on herself to honor another man. I just made a clean break to honor myself. It turns out, autonomy cuts both ways. If you enjoyed the story and want to hear more just like it, don't forget to like the video, drop a comment with your thoughts and subscribe for more stories. Your support helps these stories reach more people, and trust me, the next one, it's even wilder.